the ground. With no way to fight that monster, Taichi told Rin to run as far away as she could, as he decided to act as bait to allow her to live. Even though Rin didn't want him to do that, he rushed toward the monster anyway to try to destroy it. But Rin wished he would destroy her body instead. He threw a rock at it, but it didn't have any effect on it, so he taunted the horse to come for him. But its neck was cut with a slash from a guy who looked like a shiny shit stain. As the monster was screaming in pain, Baldy rushed to cut his body, and as the horse retaliated back, his friend Rekwelta shot a mithril arrow to bring it down. He told Taichi that the horses were the strongest monsters in the region, but since they also tasted good, Magilla fried its ass so they could eat it together. Observing their skills, Taichi became certain that he was teleported to another magic world, and vowed to himself that he would do anything to protect Rin and himself in this new world. That night, as they were all sitting together near a campfire, Rekwelta asked Taichi where he was from, as he had never seen their clothes before. But Barada and Magilla didn't want to force him to talk if he didn't want to. For the time being, the three adventurers agreed to take the two with them, and when they went to sleep, Taichi went to ask why Rin was angry, as she wasn't talking at all. She was angry at him for acting manly to protect her, and reminded him that no matter how manly he acted, it couldn't make up for his short manliness. But Taichi told her that smaller swords were more effective with their fast thrusts, so she finally made up with him. The following day, the two traveled with the adventurers towards the town of Aspire, and learned about the markets of the town to buy supplies. They planned to become adventurers to earn some money, and Rekwelta felt worried for them since being an adventurer was a dangerous job. But they thought that it was the best way to get stronger while earning money at the same time. Barada gave them some money as a parting gift, and when they said their goodbyes to the two, they went to the Adventurer Guild to register as adventurers, and got surprised when the receptionist asked if they were human. They wondered how they were able to understand the language of the world, and the receptionist asked them to place their hands on her globe to conduct the magic aptitude test, since being a mage was a requirement to become an adventurer. When Rin placed her hands on it, all four elements appeared for a second, and the receptionist was shocked by what she had just seen. It was Taichi's turn to test his magic now, and it was so strong that the globe shattered, so the receptionist rushed to tell her superiors about it. The guild master Gerard told the two that they couldn't register as adventurers, and advised them to go with Mura if they wanted to register in the guild. Together with her, they went to a cabin in the woods, and Rin covered Taichi's eyes to protect her from the goth mommy with huge jiggly wigglies named Lemia. After she learned that the guild couldn't gauge their magical prowess, Mura asked Lemia to conduct the test, so she gave them the devices she made herself that could measure their magic capacity and strength together. Taichi thought that it was just like an RPG game, so Rin warned him not to use nerdy terms like that. Once they measured their magic, Lemia observed the devices, and her smile made Taichi think that he had no magic at all. But it wasn't the case, as their magic numbers were absurd. To help them, Lemia took both of them as her apprentices, and revealed that Taichi's magic capacity was 5 times more stronger than the strongest mage in the kingdom, while Rin had less magic capacity, but she was also stronger than the S-rank mages. Since their powers were so vast, they could end the world if they didn't learn how to control their magic, as their magic was capable of destroying entire nations in an instant. But Lemia was more interested in letting Taichi destroy him first, and he was ready to do it until Rin slapped his face. The next day, they all sat together at the table to eat their breakfast, and Mura revealed that magic spells were performed by providing spirits with their magic power. There were 4 types of attribute spirits in the world, but even Lemia could only use 3 of them, and it made Rin special since she was a quad magician who could use all 4 attributes. However, Taichi had no attribute, as he was a unique magician called a sorcerer, who used magic spells by using the spirits directly instead of using their powers. But to do that, they need to form a pact with the spirits to command them, and the power born from the pact would be enough to destroy the whole world. However, Taichi wasn't interested in world domination, and as a unique magician, his attribute was undetermined, as some unique magicians didn't form a pact with spirits, and could just manipulate darkness and space-time. To figure out his attribute, Lemia got ready to make him work his ass off, and destroyed a tree to show him the ability to materialize magic power in his hand. However, he was unable to do so at first, but a mysterious spirit told him that he would be able to do it eventually, and Lemia continued making him work. At the same time, Mura taught Rin how to use elemental magic by imagining it in her head, so by creating an image of fire in her mind, she was able to summon it on her hand, and Mura was shocked seeing her doing it so fast. Rin was happy that Mura wasn't like Lemia, as she didn't want to be treated roughly, and thanked Miura for being kind to her. Before she resumed her training, she decided to try something new with her powers and ended up summoning the heavenly azure flame in her hand. But Miura had never seen that kind of power before. As the sun was setting, she was done with her training, and since Taichi couldn't manifest his magic at all, she supported him, and by acting on the instructions of the mysterious spirit, he was able to envelop his hand in magic. When he was done, he asked Rin if she had heard the voice of a child, and when she said that she didn't, he decided to go back to the cabin. Lemia had prepared a lot of food for them since using magic consumed a lot of energy, and she knew that Taichi would be hungry. While she was extremely happy with the progress Rin had made in just one day, she was angry at Taichi, and made a lot of food for him just so he would have no excuse to train his weak ugly ass. That night as she was lying down by herself, Miura went to her and asked what she thought of those two, as they had absurd power and managed to manifest it in just one day. Lemia knew that they weren't from this world, and since the turmoil in the world was increasing every day, she was worried that something would happen to Rin and Taichi if they didn't learn to control their magic, so she decided to make them strong enough to defend themselves in just 3 weeks. Even the mage that summoned them prayed to the goddess to give them her blessing, and after a few days, Taichi was already strong enough to handle a wolf monster by himself and killed it without making a sweat. At the same time, Rin was battling a horde of some ugly ass rabbits and used stone and water bullets to knock them all away before hitting them with Zeus's lightning. They praised each other for taking their opponent out with ease and looking at them from afar. Both Lemia and Miura felt proud of them learning magic so quickly, but they got worried when an obsidian horse appeared before them. However, unlike last time, the two were ready to take it down and were treated to a lavish lunch, as killing that monster was the final part of their training. Now, they were ready to become adventurers in Aspire, but before sending them away, Lemia revealed that the two of them were lost ones who came to her world from another world when a sorcerer summoned them. They were surprised to learn that she knew all along they weren't from this world, and because of that reason, she decided to train them in secret. However, they didn't have any information about the person who summoned them, but since the sorcerers who could use summoning magic were rare, Taichi thought that it would be easy to find her and make her send them back home. On their last night in the cabin, they all finished their dinner, and when the two of them were by themselves, Taichi thanked Rin for coming to this world with him, as he thought that he would have died alone. Later at night as he was checking out his power, the mysterious spirit told him that they would meet soon, and appeared in his dream as he went to sleep. When Taichi woke up, he was perplexed about the dream, and went to the town of Aspire with Rin later to register as adventurers. They met with Barada's squad, and did measly E-rank quests at first to earn some money for 2 weeks to gain reputation. Although Rin focused in studying the knowledge of the Elistane Magic Kingdom, Taichi was happy that he didn't have to study for any exams in their new world, but pointed that the town they were living in was at the edge of the Magic Kingdom, and was really close to the border of the Holy Scatolith Empire. When Almeda came to give him tea, she handed them a letter that came for them from the guild, and when they went there, they were given a work request to investigate a bar in the slums. Their job was to observe the customers visiting it, and they would get a bonus silver for obtaining useful information. The goods that were being stolen from shops and wagons were being smuggled into the city through the slums, so the two also needed to investigate that. But it was a job for D-rank adventurers while they were just E-rank noobs. However, a party could take on a request 1 rank higher than them, and since Lemia also put in a good word for them, they decided to take the job since it would promote their rank. However, before starting the quest, they went to the market to buy some Melilla fruit, and got shocked when the shopkeeper asked for a silver coin for 3 fruits. They thought that the vendor was trying to scam them, as they were half the price last week, but there was a shortage of Melilla fruit since goods weren't coming to the town, as the wagons transporting them and other things were being attacked by monsters and bandits. However, Taichi still bought some fruits for Rin to help the vendor earn some money, and they both thought that the rumor of wagons being attacked was true. Because those goods were making their way to the slums, it was also a part of their quest, so they secretly observed the bar at night. When they entered, all the people stared at them, and laughed hearing that the two wanted to drink ale instead of some proper booze. But Taichi didn't let the insults get to his head, and when the bartender told them it was a dangerous place for the two, they asked him not to worry about them as they could protect themselves. Since the bar looked like a perfect place to hide stolen goods, Takai acted like he was a shady person who had come to buy the stolen goods, and sell them in the black market for profit. They did this to get information out of the bartender, and Rin even offered him a huge amount of money to open his mouth. but that gesture ended up making everyone at the bar angry instead. After they dropped them to the ground, they learned that everyone there was ransacking the wagons after they would get attacked by the monsters or bandits. When they left the bar, they noticed that assassins were tailing them, so they tried to run away, but their way was blocked. When the assassin rushed toward him, Taichi blocked its knife with her sword and thought that he was doing extra work for the job. But since they could be a good source of information, Taichi thought that they could capture one of the enemies and enchanted his hand to throw an assassin against the wall. When Rin made another one hug the ground, Taichi rendered her unconscious by punching her face, and the rest of the assassins ran away for their life. The captured assassin was taken to the guild, and Gerard told her to rethink her life decisions, as the people who captured her had decided to spare her life. The following day, Rin and Taichi learned that Miura had come to greet them for getting promoted to D rank. And when they told her everything that was happening in the town, she wondered if all those things were connected somehow. Amidst all those things, the most disturbing thing for the two was the price hike of Melilla fruits. But Miura had a way to resolve that matter, and asked them if they wanted to form a party with her. She revealed that Melilla fruits in the northern forest were ready for harvest, but someone was continuously stealing them, and that was the reason why they were being sold so expensive. Since the village only consisted of farmers, they couldn't fight back against the robbers, and offered 500 silver to any adventurer to help them. So together, they went to that village, and the villagers welcomed them with open arms. They showed them around the fruit plantations in the village, so they would be able to patrol them better, and revealed that harvesting Melillas was a part of their history, but robbers made it difficult for them. When Rin's magic staff detected enemy approaching, the villagers thought that they must be the thieves, but to their surprise, it was an ogre lord with his orc minions. While Miura sliced the orcs into pieces, Taichi rushed toward the ogre, and the villagers felt worried about him, so Rin told them not to worry, as he was stronger than he looked. Dodging the ogre's club, Taichi decided to end his battle with one attack, and summoned all his magical power into his fist to punch the ogre in the head and make it hug the ground. At night, as they were sitting together, they felt worried as to why an ogre was near the plantations, as they lived on the other side of the forest. It made them wonder if the attack was set up by someone else, so Miura wanted to see how their foes would react afterward to figure out the person behind the attacks. Meanwhile, the assassin Anastasia kept thinking about Taichi's decision to spare her miserable life, and told Gerard that she wanted to stay with Taichi. At the Melilla Fruit Village, the group kept searching around for clues, and found footprints that led them to a burnt-out campfire. When Rin detected the humans nearby, they chased to see them stealing fruits, but the thieves had no intention of going back without a fight. However, when Taichi told them that they were adventurers and displayed his power, they shat their pants and gladly became their hostages. They were taken away by the villagers, but when Kasim shook hands with Taichi to thank him, he noticed that his hands were awfully soft for a farmer, as the hands of other villagers were rough because of daily hand work. Kasim tried to convince them that he was an overseer, but the fact that he knew about orcs and ogres was suspicious to everyone, as they never lived in that part of the forest. With no option but to admit to the truth, he smiled menacingly, claiming that he had sent the orcs and the ogre to attack, while also making those men steal fruits and making a request to the guild for the help of adventurers. He did all that just to test out their true capabilities, and he was exceptionally impressed with Taichi. But he thought that he was naive, as he never noticed his ally Grammy, who was hiding in plain sight using Harry Potter's cloak. While the girls were ready to face him, Kasim decided to take care of Taichi himself, and with a huge explosion, Grammy was pushed back and got attacked by the elf. Miura wanted to know why she never took the opportunity to attack them while she was hiding, but Grammy wasn't interested in cheap assassinations, and wanted the thrill of the battle. Lunging towards Miura, she clashed swords with her, but Miura signaled Rin and pushed her back to allow Rin to attack her with a fire arrow. However, Grammy blocked it with a wind burst, so Rin summoned a dirt tornado to buy time for Miura to enhance herself physically. When Grammy sliced away the tornado, she saw that Rin had already prepared earth and water attacks to push her back. At the same time, Taichi got ready to face Kasim, but he summoned the frost elemental beast god to fight for him, and Taichi's attack had no effect on it. The beast had no physical body, so Taichi's attack just passed through it, but the beast could hit him nonetheless and pushed him back. While he wondered about how to take down that beast, Rin rained stone and water bullets at Grammy to keep her in place, and Miura rushed towards her with her enhanced body. To help her out, Rin tried attacking Grammy, but she put Miura in the way of her attacks to force her to deactivate it, and punched Miura's guts to knock her away before jumping at Rin. Meanwhile, Taichi kept trying to injure the frost elemental, but none of his attacks were doing anything, and the beast bombarded him with ice shards to push him back. Kasim knew that his harem girls could injure his beast, so he decided to fight Taichi since he couldn't use any magic, and used the Forbidden Crimson Pact technique to transform the beast into a red elemental. With its calamity rank powers, the beast tackled Taichi to make him hug the ground, and just by the impact of a single attack, he was already puking blood. He was disgusted by his own weakness, but he was just a pawn for Kasim that he wanted to capture to make Miura and Rin develop plot with him. Both of those girls were panting from exhaustion with their battle against Grammy, but they got up once again to reveal that they weren't using their true power, and just wanted to test Grammy's abilities first. When Miura struck her with her sword, Rin used the distraction to force her back with her spell sword, and Miura teleported behind to kick her toward Rin, allowing her to use the sword of the lightning god to pierce her. However, even in all that pain, Grammy wanted even more beating as she was a masochist, so Rin decided to fulfill her request, and covered her in a dust cascade before exploding it with fire to fry her ugly ass. She was covered in wounds on her whole body, and Miura rushed in from behind her to deliver the finishing blow by slicing her chest. But the mad bitch was still laughing, and admitting her loss, she vowed to fight them again when her wound would heal. Kasim was disgusted that she had lost the fight, as he had easily defeated Taichi with the help of the red elemental, and crushed his bones in front of them to make the girls do his bidding. Taichi didn't want them to become hostages because of him, and remembered the moment when he promised to Rin to protect her. So the wind spirit Ariel offered to give him power, but warned him that it would be as painful as death since his body was too weak for such a huge amount of power. However, Taichi was ready to do whatever it took to protect his friends, and appeared as the god of the wind in front of everyone. Kasim used the beast to knock him away, but he had become a god now, and the attack had no effect on him. He wanted to give Kasim a taste of hell for threatening his friends, and used a wind tornado to wipe out the red elemental along with its fire breath. Fearing his power, Kasim and Grammy hauled ass out of there, and Taichi wanted to stop them, but the backlash from using the god's power forced him to his knees, and he used the last bit of strength left inside of him to slice off Kasim's arm. However, he was knocked unconscious afterward, and the two managed to escape from the battle nonetheless. When Taichi finally woke up, he found himself in Lemia's cabin again, and ate a whole orphanage's worth of food. According to Lemia, he had depleted all of his magic power, and fell into a coma for a week, as his body needed a lot of rest to recover. Miura and Rin didn't know about it, and assumed that he was passed out from exhaustion and injury at first. But when he didn't wake up for 3 days, they carried his unconscious body to Lemia, and were now in the nearby town. Taichi thanked Lemia for everything she did for him, and told him everything about his battle against the red elemental. Lemia immediately realized that Kasim used the Forbidden Crimson Pact magic of using blood, and it was banned for how cruel it was, but Kasim fed an orb imbued with that magic to the elemental anyway to draw out several dozen times of its original power. However, Taichi was able to defeat it with the help of Ariel, and when Lemia learned about it, she couldn't believe what she just heard and revealed that Taichi was a summoner. At the same time, Kasim informed Ladra about Taichi's wind god power, and he thought that it was worth it for Kasim to lose his arm for that important knowledge. He had another task for them, but to make sure that Grammy would continue to do his bidding, he placed another spell on her to make her continue to be Kasim's pawn, and left a bait for Taichi in his room before going. Since he didn't know what a summoner was, Lemia told Taichi that a summoner forged pacts with spirits to use their power, and since they used the power of the spirits directly instead of borrowing it, they released the spirits' destructive power without any constraint. Afterward, he met with Almeda to ask them about Miura and Rin's whereabouts, but she didn't know where they were, so he decided to go look for them in the town, and saw Anastasia getting bullied by men. When she saw him, Anastasia hid behind him, and seeing 2 big reasons to protect her, Taichi kicked the man to the ground, and his friend carried him away. Seeing how she freed herself, Taichi knew that Anastasia was more than capable of handling those bullies herself, so he asked why she hid behind him. She revealed that she was the assassin that he defeated earlier, and together they ambushed the hideout of a cult, and worked together to knock out every lookout guard. Going inside the building, they threw a stone to distract the 2 guards guarding a door before defeating them, and upon entering the room, Taichi saw a paper that Ladra planted for him earlier. That night, Rin and Miura roamed around the city eating delicious food, but when an assassin secretly attacked them, they jumped away, and commanded all the citizens to flee back to their homes. As Miura clashed swords with the assassin, Rin used water magic to push him back before summoning a tornado on her palm, but fireballs rained at them from the sky by a group of mages from a rooftop, and Grammy used her invisibility cloak to take Mira out with a single punch. She had orders to abduct her, and told the assassin and the mages to hold Rin back so she wouldn't be able to stop her. At the same time, Taichi investigated an underground tunnel with Anastasia after reading about it in the paper he found earlier, and came across a suspicious trap-like door. So Anastasia opened it for him, and he apologized to her for making her work as an assassin again, since he spared her just so she could live a normal life, but she had to use her assassin abilities again because of the guild. However, she had no complaints about it, as she was happy just to be with him. Meanwhile, the mages kept spamming fire bursts on Rin, so she took them out with a wind tornado, and ran into Grammy, who had come back to inform her where Mira was being held. She told her that because she was forced to obey her employer's orders, but since she vowed to fight them again, she asked Rin to rescue Mira before she would turn into an experiment. She was being held in chains surrounded by mages, but Rin came to rescue her, and slammed a mage against a wall before freezing the rest of them in place. However, she couldn't free Mira because there was a spell underneath her, so she used earth magic to dispel it, and cut the chains to free her. However, Laudra had already suspected that Grammy would betray him, and when Rin got ready to fight him, he informed her that an army of 3,000 monsters would be attacking the town, and they would destroy everything in it. However, Rin trusted that Taichi would stop the threat, but Laudra already baited him to go to that underground tunnel, and wished the girls good luck in protecting the town before going away. As the two were walking around the town, Kasim asked why he was assaulting the city from both inside and outside, but Laudra politely told him to shut the f*** up, and revealed it was necessary for their grand plan to succeed. At the same time, Taichi protected Anastasia from a golem, and after knocking it away, he punched right through its arms, and slammed the golem to the ground to defeat it. However, the trouble wasn't over, as the twin sisters Milo and Milo were going to release thousands of goblins. Meanwhile, Gerard learned that thousands of monsters were going to attack the town, so he ordered Marie to summon all the adventurers in Aspire, and asked the Watchers for help. He was scared of Laudra, as no one had any information about him, and Taichi wasn't present to help them. But the girls thought that the battle-tested adventurers would be enough to take care of the threat even if it would cost them their lives. However, the Mage of Fallen Leaves Lemia was also going to join the battle, as she had detected ominous magic power coming from the north, and decided to help out the town. In the underground tunnel, Milo and Milo were proud of creating the goblins and the golem, and planned to release thousands of goblins in the town to cause havoc. They had a magic ball with them, and by imbuing it with Crimson Pact magic, she awakened the goblins that were dozens of times stronger than the normal ones. When a group of them jumped toward Taichi, he slashed them into pieces, and continued making mincemeat out of the goblins to protect Anastasia. However, their numbers were overwhelming, and when the sisters accidentally broke the magic ball, they started attacking them, so Taichi rescued the two. He wanted them to realize what they had done by releasing the goblins, and carried them to Anastasia so he could protect them all at the same time. In the town, Marie informed the adventurers about the upcoming attacks, and Gerard sat with Lemia and the others to form a war strategy. Since they only had 150 adventurers against thousands of monsters, Lemia thought that the best way to deal with them was to destroy all the weak monsters with a single powerful attack, so Rin requested them to let her do that job. The following morning, she stood on the boundary wall of the town, and as monsters marched toward it, she collapsed the ground to create a sinkhole to trap all the monsters in it. She filled the crater with water, and combined dust and fire to boil the water and close the hole from the top. When the boiling water made its way through it, the explosion that happened took out all the weak monsters in an instant, but Rin nearly collapsed from using so much magic power in a short span of time. With the advantage they had gained, the adventurer army stormed the monsters, and while they used their magic to butcher them, Mura went towards the front lines to battle the enemy, and Lemia rained fire at the monsters from a distance. Laudra felt it was worth it to watch the war unfold, as Rin and Lemia showed him a good display of power, but he knew that it was only the start of the battle. Before long, most of the weaker ground troops were defeated, and Rin and Mura were nearly exhausted, but the ogre commanders of the monsters were still standing. Lemia used a fire arc to take out troops in front of them, but since their numbers were too many, she asked Mura and Lemia to buy her some time, so she could charge up her ultimate spell. While they were battling the monsters and using every last ounce of magic power they had, Lemia continued gathering the magic power at the tip of her wand. At the same time, Taichi arrived with the girls to meet up with Gerard in his camp, and after learning about the war, He wanted to go and help out his friends. However, Anastasia was scared that he might not come back, so Taichi promised to return no matter what. Meanwhile, Lemia defeated everyone with her ultimate spell, but the ogre commanders were still standing, and taunted them to bring it on. So Rin and Miura rushed to engage them, and while Lemia blasted them with Inferno, Miura attacked them with Hellfire Slash, and Rin jolted them with Lightning. However, none of their attacks had any effect on the ogre commander, and when Rin's magic power ran out, the ogre approached to finish her off. She thought that she was going to die, but smiled in the face of Armageddon as she trusted that Taichi would come and finish them off for her. However, she wished that she had the chance to tell him how much he meant to her, so he stopped the ogre's attack, and told her that she could tell him that right there like a Giga Chad. He apologized to Lemia for showing up late, and stopped the ogre by trading punches with it. With another attack, he knocked it off balance, and grabbed its arm to slam it into the ground, before jumping in the air to destroy the ogre's guts, wondering how those worthless good-for-nothing girls lost to weak ogres like that. He wanted Lemia and the others to hold off the weaker soldiers, and introduced them to Milo and Milo, as he wanted them to work together to watch his back. As all the ogre commanders approached Taichi, Laudra wondered how he managed to defeat thousands of goblins in a single night, and have the strength to battle the strongest monsters he had created. On the other hand, an adventurer informed Gerard about everything in the battle, and while Anastasia was healing the injured, she overheard him saying that Taichi was fighting the three commanders all by himself, and remembered him promising to her that he would return. He was the first person who ever treated her like a human instead of a tool, and now because of him, other people were also being nice to her. So she left behind her blood-stained hands of assassins to start her life all over. But a mysterious man hypnotized her, and she left the adventurer camps to go into the battlefield. Meanwhile, the troops kept using their magic attacks to defeat the leftover monsters with their superior abilities, and even Milo and Milo were helping everyone out in defeating them. Since they were all low on magic, Lemia instructed everyone to conserve their mana, so Taichi could fight the commanders without any worry. By strengthening his physical attributes by 100 times, he defeated all the ogres one by overwhelming them. However, the battle happening at the surface awakened the ancient dragon god of destruction, and it displayed its might by launching its fire into the heavens. Awakening the dragon was the main part of Laudra's plan, as it would be the perfect way to check out how strong Taichi truly was. When the girls approached him, Taichi asked them if the commotion on the ground had awoken the dragon. But Lemia knew that it wasn't the case, as dragons never leave their dens, and wars above the ground weren't even worth their attention. But since one had joined the battle regardless, Taichi wanted everyone to evacuate back to the town. But Rin insisted on staying with her meat provider. Before going away, Miura begged the two of them to return back alive, and Taichi instructed Rin to stay out of his fight with the dragon, as it was going to be tough, and it would be hard for him to fight it while protecting her. As he came face to face with the dragon, he tried contacting Ariel, but she didn't respond, and he charged toward the dragon head-on. But it effortlessly blocked his blow, and rained fire at him to force him to come close, so it could smack him away with its tail. With just a single blow, Taichi felt like all the bones in his body were almost broken. But the dragon could have killed him if it wanted to. As he was wondering why it didn't, Anastasia approached him, and got out of the hypnotization once Taichi talked to him. She didn't remember when she got there, and Taichi wanted her to go away. But when the dragon channeled magic and blasted it toward them, Anastasia sacrificed herself to put Taichi out of harm's way. She was puking blood, so he wanted to take her to a doctor immediately after finishing his fight. But she knew that she didn't have long to live, and thanked him for treating him like a human. Before long, she fell unconscious in his arm because of the injuries, and Taichi screamed in helplessness, as he couldn't protect her despite promising to do so. He chastised himself for being weak and not able to do anything, and commanded Ariel to give him power, so she responded to his strong emotions, then apologized for not giving him power sooner, as the laws of nature forbade her to give him power without him ordering her to do so. She did it the first time because his life was in danger, but it was essential for him as a summoner to have the resolve and ambition to command her. Realizing that it was his own fault, he called himself a worthless shithead for acting full of himself because of the power he received. But now, he wanted the power only to protect those dear to him, and Ariel gladly agreed to give him that power. When Rin came to him, he asked her to take care of Anastasia, and enveloped himself in God's power to face the dragon god once again. He wanted to settle the fight with one blow, and asked the dragon why it was fighting him and what it would take for him to make it withdraw. So the dragon agreed to leave and tell him the truth about everything if he could withstand its attack. It launched a spiral of heaven and hell's flame towards Taichi, but he blocked it with the wind god's power and managed to overwhelm the dragon using it. After accepting his defeat, the dragon told Taichi that it had come to the surface at the request of a certain individual, and its goal was to fight him. Before leaving, the dragon warned him that his life would be guided by that individual, and since it was necessary for the world to exist, it also agreed to do that person's bidding. The huge battle left countless dead bodies lying on the battlefield, but the sacrifices of the soldiers of Aspire allowed the town to slowly go back to normal, and people started smiling